Capron.
Here.
Greckin.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Waters.
Okay.
Mayor and Council, the first item to talk about today is to give you an update of where we are. If you take the technical changes that we have in our packet today, we have reached where the typical residence will be at 0.
Wait a minute, I want the Sioux City Journal to hear that. And I want to make sure that you tell Ron Peterson front page, because he put it front page that we were raising taxes 27. Now that it's 0, make sure he understands that, would you? I'd like to see that right on the old front page tomorrow. And don't tell me it's too late in the day. I know you guys quit about noon. Thank you.
Would you like a donut?
Not picking on you, just your bosses.
And to accomplish this, what we have is a mixture between CIP and operating changes. We reduced the convention center CIP. We took out the carpet and the wallpaper. We took out a roof for the Arts Center in the CIP roof project. We increased landing fees. We talked about this during the last hearing. We increased rental permits. We reduced the claims expected to be paid for workers' comp. We also had a reduction in the tax support for human resources. We decreased the FTEs in swimming pools. This was also a discussion last time, and our research showed that we could reduce that. We also took away the landmark art. We had it at 20,000. We took it down to 2. And then between salary adjustments and contract settlements, we came up with the bulk of the money. This will get the business $100,000 valuations down to a negative $21, $100,000 of residential valuations at 0. It gives us a levy rate of 1567.
And what was the levy rate last year?
16.07. And this is including you voting on the technical changes that we have back in there.
But does that include the additional for the comm center?
No, but the difference is minute because I've got some play with, it's about $3,000 is what the comm center would be.
Right.
It's not going to make a difference.
Okay, but you've got that full-time equivalent
Yes,
in there.
yes. And with that, if you have any other questions on the settlements? Okay.
The discussion items. Number 3, the facade programs.
You have a memo on page 3 of your packet.
Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. As Donna mentioned, we have a memo as requested from the CIP wrap-up detailing the total costs spent to date on the other facade programs. Some of those facade programs listed there have not started, and also some are closing out. The Pierce Street facade program is closing out, and so the memo notes that. And also on the historic Pearl facade, you'll note on the asterisk with the notes in the memo, there's some 2 different funding sources in there. We had the tax abated GO bonds, as we do with all of our facade programs, but also we partnered with economic development, and a few of those projects for the facades were done with TIF, so there's minimum assessments in agreements on those projects.
Questions?
You think that spread's pretty good?
What's that?
You think that spread is pretty good for the community as a whole?
Well, yeah, I think so. It's fine. It just, we spent a lot of money in Pearl. We spent a lot of money on West 7th. But I don't know that you're going to get 600,000 in Riverside, so I would hope we would move some of that around, but when we have to, maybe we will. I might be surprised, but I don't think there's that much in that corridor that'll require that much, but
yeah.
But at least we're starting.
I'd be interested if there, was that much interest. And obviously, I think maybe we can start here and see what the interest is and see if it needs to be a program that's expanded, if it's utilized. Because I think you saw in Pearl and West Seventh and some other ones, a lot of businesses utilized it and worked within the program.
The money for the 20 budget is programmed as part of the construction for streetscaping and type stuff. So
Okay.
it'll be the next year's budget.
Gotcha.
We'd have these
Where they'll
discussions.
apply, okay.
Okay.
Okay. What's the private match amount again? Match amount?
25%, I believe. I believe it is, isn't it, Jeff?
Depends.
Yes.
Average, it's 25? Okay.
At least on Pierce it was, I know.
Next item, page 4, CIP 379010, Tyson Event Center remodeling and repair.
Council and Mayor, we have, with our contract with Spectra Management, when we signed it, we got $200,000 for capital improvements to be made at our discretion with their agreement. And what we're proposing is to take that $200,000 and use it to do the north entrance, and then to do a little bit of remodeling with the box office to protect some cash handling procedures. And then to reduce in FY20 the key system to the amount as proposed in the memo. So we don't need any changes in FY20.
Yep, my only question was if we needed to, do we put this out to bid then? I mean, or anything as far as like the $30,000 to build the wall and divide it?
That would all have to go out to bid because it is over our thresholds.
Yes, so, oh, sorry.
No.
Enzo Carinante, Assistant General Manager. So yeah, based on our last conversations, we did try to locate the portable box office that was referenced. We weren't able to come across anybody that had one. So we did go out to a couple of different locations to try and find the opportunity to purchase one. You know, that gives us that solution to sell tickets in the north corner, which has been requested. So as we've explored the opportunity to put a sellable location back there, we did have a couple of concerns that we just wanted to make sure was part of the conversation, so we knew, so that everybody was on the same page. We know it would be very beneficial with the new parking garage. A lot of the traffic that comes from downtown for events there at that north entrance. But one is just increased cost for staffing, security that would be needed to manage the location. As well as we would also need to keep in mind that we've got to get additional ticketing equipment to be able to sell tickets back there, so not just the portable location. We've estimated that we would need to get 2 new computers, credit card scanners, and ticket printers to be able to functionally work in that area without taking anything away from our current box office. Also, it's just with that space, you know, if this is a huge success, we just don't want to get to the point that we retrain our customer, that is a main point of entrance, because if we have high volume of traffic during an event there, we just don't want to, we want the experience for the customer to be as positive as possible. With it, the infrastructure there can't necessarily take that high volume of traffic. So if you've been through that location, we're only able to fit so many metal detectors in that location. Adding a box office will cut off some of that opportunity for extra security, and then the flow right into the main concourse level. So we just want to be aware of it, that we've just got to come up with a solution to make sure that we can get high volume of traffic. So if there's other solutions around it that we can have in a conversation, using it as more VIP entrance, more of a...
No, don't even do the deal then. Don't even do it.
Mayor and council,
That-
Enzo and I talked about it on Saturday. He's talking about events where there's going to be 10,000 people.
I don't care. They already have security back there. I don't know what he's talking about. They already have security. They already have a scanner.
Yep, tickets.
But here,
all
let
that stuff
me,
back there.
here's a perfect example. I went to a concert where there was 10,000 people. People do come from the Hard Rock area. They were literally bottlenecking at that entrance. So what we need to do is a better job of telling people that the west entrances where you go up the stairs are open, the front box office is open. What we've got to do is if we put that ticket office in there, is people need to understand that that is one of 5 places that you could enter.
That's what I was going to say.
Not the sole enter.
Wouldn't crowd control just be managed?
So for like 10,000 people coming to an event, we need to, restrict and divert access. But for things like Musketeers games, smaller events, the Bandits, that will just be a normal entrance. We're thinking more when there's a bigger event where we don't want everything to try to bottleneck through that one area.
Yeah, and we're not completely opposed. We just want to make sure that we have open dialogue and having the conversation, that we do it in an effective manner.
I've lost all interest now. I don't know why we can't find these ticket booths. I don't know. I don't understand any of this stuff. Where in the heck did they go? Because we've had them.
So the portable ticket booths, right? That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
you know what I'm
Why can't we
talking-
get a carpenter that knows what he's doing?
Well,
knows
we
what
will.
he
I'm
wants?
just asking, what happened to the ones we had? It's
And by all
amazing.
means, we can, but we've contacted the convention center. As you mentioned, they would potentially have them, and they did not. We've talked to a number of employees that have been with the venue for a number of years to try and figure out if we could locate it. We'll continue to see if we can locate them, but just at
Hey,
this
what, they
point,
probably got bought out, and got brought back. That's what happened.
unfortunately, we're trying to locate it, and we will continue to
That's
try and locate
fine.
it.
But when you say VIP, that just, to me, that just says forget it. I'm sorry.
And once again, that would only be for sold-out major
But how
events.
do you tell that? How do you tell me when I'm there, oh, sorry, you don't have a VIP ticket, you gotta go around the front? That's,
Well,
but-
and I think he's just brainstorming ideas. to
I
try to
understand that, but
distribute-
when you say VIP, forget it for me.
And to play devil's advocate, I buy tickets to a lot of things that they direct you to a specific gate to enter. It could be as simple as that depending on where you sit, you enter at a certain gate.
Okay.
That would work for me, but it wouldn't work for me to go to any one of your 5 entrances,
And not be.
and you tell me I have to go to another entrance.
No, and we wouldn't let you get that far away. We would have staff that are standing outside as you're walking down the street saying, hey, this line is awful full. You could just go around the corner and up the stairs and you can get in 2 minutes.
I don't want to stand in line. I like your ideas, because I don't want to stand in line. I don't want to stand outside. I want to get through the metal detector thing, because I think.
The whole goal is to not harm customer service by creating an expectation at that entrance.
Yeah, we just want to be able, that we do it right. You know, we have multiple entrances, and a prime example, we had a show in March that everybody tried getting through that one entrance when we had a main box office entrance that was fully staffed, fully prepared for high volume traffic, and everybody wanted to get through one main entrance because it's located on that side of the venue. We just don't want that to become a custom and then hurt the experience of people getting in a speedy timeframe.
We
Excluding,
need to seriously consider that addition that they talked about. Maybe time to do that, because you're gonna have as much or more traffic coming that way than you are out of our parking lot now.
And that was one question I had too, was if you, I liked the portability of this, if you want to put it in other places other than just that north entrance.
Absolutely.
Because that's my biggest thing, is spending $40K on just a portable one where you only gonna use it in the north entrance, when we have plans down the road of what the north entrance could be. It's like, I don't wanna drop 40 grand now for just a Band-Aid, and then we're looking at really revamping it in 4 years.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's other benefits too of having a portable, is that if there's other locations that need to utilize it, you know, on non-event days, it can be utilized, so we can kind of.
You know, you can also use it for outside events.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's a lot of pros and cons. We just want to make sure that we have open dialogue, so that way we've come up with the proper solution that helps everybody, the fans, and us get the job done.
You could troubleshoot different things. I mean, you could put signs on the sidewalk when people are crossing the tracks. 3 additional points of entry, 1 entrance here, or you know what I mean? Like main entrance this way. You know what I mean? That way if people see a long line, I'm not gonna wait there. It says there's 3 entrances up here, that way.
And once we make the decision, you know, internally, we would come up with a plan as how we roll out whatever we decide, and make sure that it's communicated properly, so that way we do our due diligence in notifying patrons.
Enzo, excluding the sold-out event scenario, with what you're planning
Love to have
in your memo, how many ticket sellers would there be at the north door or north entrance?
At the north door, we usually have 2 to 3 ticket takers at that north entrance.
And you're still
Currently
planning on doing that?
And we'd still plan on doing that, depending, you know, as we look, you know, when we do our staffing, we always look at number of tickets for the event, and we adjust based on that. So if we need to add or take away, we also have what we call floaters that we can relocate to different locations based on the needs. So for that example that we talked about in March, where we had it fully staffed at the main entrance, but found the high volume in the back, we took all of our staff that we could out of the main entrance to go around and tell people to go around to the other different entrances and to help try and speed up that process. So we have staffing that we adjust based on what's currently happening.
Thank you.
I like the way you're thinking. Hope Springs Eternal, can you imagine? Thousands of people, Mayor, and long lines. That's what we dream for.
But getting them through very quickly, that's what
Getting
we
through
hope, yeah.
Customer experience,
Absolutely.
With no designation of those three letters.
whether it's 3,000 or 10,000, customer experience.
Thank you.
Project 719018, downtown one-way to two-way conversion, page 5.
Dave Carney, Public Works Director.
Mr. Carney.
Morning.
We gotta start asking anyone but Dave about what our numbers are gonna be for conversion. I'm pretty sure that's what we need to do.
That's,
So,
what'd you come up with? Am I reading this right?
well, this is just for the area from Iowa to Jackson. And as the memo says, it would be modifying the light at Court in Sixth and removing the light at Virginia in Sixth. Because that was the one that was, in the Olson study, was designated that it didn't need to be there.
Jennings, you mean?
Jennings, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And the
right
Iowa,
by
and the
the
court one is, even in the estimate I gave out before that it was like 4.6 million, the court one, I believe we can modify. Without adding, we'd have to add a pole, but we can modify the existing poles.
And I don't understand the bottleneck of traffic if you're converting them both.
Well, no, this was talking about just converting the one, the Sixth Street just between Iowa
Okay.
and Court. You'd be down to one lane versus 3 lanes, and that section of Sixth Street takes 8,600 vehicles a day. That would be my concern, and like I said, we could look at possibly doing 2 lanes westbound, 1 lane eastbound, but every time someone goes to make a left turn, I'd have to go do left turning counts to see what the left turning traffic is. If it's not very much,
Cause if that one lane is full, you're never gonna get across, is what.
yeah, well, it's just gonna be, like a 4-lane section. Once someone turns left, it basically operates like a 3-lane section, because now everybody's gotta get over to get around the guy turning left. And I don't know what the left turning volume is at all of those side streets. If they don't have a high left turning volume, then the 2 in one direction, 1 in the other direction might be okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned this to you or not, but I'd really be concerned about removing a stoplight at Sixth and Jennings. Westbound, coming over that hill, if you're parked between Jennings and Jones.
Yeah, you and I did
On
talk
the
about
north side of the street, and you're gonna go over to the hospital on the south side, you can't see the traffic until it crests at the intersection. And if they have the green light, they're going 25, 30 miles an hour. It's like the old Frogger video game. You gotta kind of do your best to get by. I think taking out a traffic signal at Sixth and Jennings would be a huge mistake. It might slow traffic down, but I think it would be a lot safer. And I don't know if there's a
Well, we
way,
were looking-
maybe you can look at traffic accidents but boy, that's kind of a busy.
I was going by the information provided that Olson did when they initially looked at the 2-way conversion. And like I said in the memo, I think if we're gonna do it, I think the best way to do it is to do 5th and 6th at the same time for the entire length.
And what would that cost?
That we were at, I think the one estimate I gave you was 4.6 million.
That again on the,
4.6 million to
Yep.
do 5th and 6th through the entire corridor, through the entire.
Through the entire corridor, but let's say just from Jackson.
Oh, I didn't look at 5th just to Jackson. I can do that. I can add that. I can get you that information. I'll have to go back and look at our,
you think I would run into the same confusion with the Iowa to Jackson Street as I do on Douglas Street all the time?
yes. I
don't
mean,
know why,
wherever
just-
you're switching from 1-way to 2-way, you can have confusion. I mean, Douglas is a perfect example. It's not ideal.
It is not.
I don't know why, you know, I wasn't here at the time, I can't say, they should have converted it.
Well, why didn't they, West Fourth right here? Why did they do it there? That's my point. It's two-way there, so how do we, I don't know why I come to these wrap-ups. I should just stay home and shovel snow today. But we don't give the drivers in this town enough credit that they learned to adapt, because they adapted right down the street here 2 blocks. That used to be two-way traffic. But
Used to be one way, now it's two-way, you're saying?
no, it used to be at 4th Street, when 6th Street becomes 4th Street at Wesley Way, you used to be able to get on that street when I was a kid and drive all the way to Greenville.
Oh,
That's been my point all along. If you ever had a major incident on the interstate, you could get from Riverside Boulevard all the way to Greenville, which would get you all the way out to Highway 20, the bypass, if you ever had a major incident, and God forbid we ever do, but in this day and age, we have to consider that those kind of things happen, and that's why we don't give people enough credit that they'll learn how to drive, because we've done it in the past.
Well, I think the concern I have, and I don't know if it's addressing what you're speaking to, Mayor, is not about the people that live here and drive these streets. Hey, after
They hate
2
our
months-
one-ways now, Alex.
No, I know, and
People
I'm
that
saying,
don't-
hey, after 2 months, they understand. I'm saying that people that visit our community get so confused and so turned around and driving every which way on our roads. We need to be more inviting. We need to be more navigable when it comes to our downtown. We talk about economic development downtown. That's what happens.
As long as 20 years from now, though, we don't sit here, not we, but the council sits here. We need to go back to one-way because it was such a better deal.
We will, because that's what those guys, those planners right there. It's, in 1962, I was around, they told us how great one-ways would be. It's the answer. We're gonna put downtown malls, we're gonna cover the roofs and all of that crap I heard, and now it's the exact opposite. We need storefronts with signs out front, and we need two-way traffic, and so it'll change.
How do you remember all
Hey,
this
everything
stuff?
comes back. Well, and I
He
understand your
remembers it,
point.
he
1962, you were what, 9 years
I
old?
I was
understand your
11
point of
years
wanting to
old, and
move
I
traffic
remember the
through. Like,
argument.
I get
Williams
how
TV
we
was gonna
wanna
go
move
broke
traffic
if
through
they
and the numbers
converted.
get through there.
Remember
Yeah.
that?
I'm thinking economic development, I'm thinking people coming in, I'm thinking people shopping, I'm thinking people staying at the new hotels. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm trying to address, not just, oh my gosh, we need to get people from point A all the way across town.
But we've,
If you want
And
that
slowing
going forward.
traffic isn't the worst thing. That's what happened on 4th Street, and if you look, that's where the commercial development
Hey, I'm with you.
is occurred.
We're on the same side of that argument. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, I understand Dave saying, I want to get more people across. I want to look at the number of cars that are driving this stretch. That's why it needs to stay one way, or at the very least, 2 going westbound and 1 going eastbound. But then you say that as confusion, and
well, it's not so much that it's
or
got,
not confusion, sorry, the left turn.
yeah, it's, the functionality, I mean, I have concerns about if we just did one. I mean,
God, I wish you guys would go to Sioux Falls and look at 41st Street. 5 or 6 lanes up there, not a lot of, no medians, none, not one, not very many stoplights, and they move how much traffic?
oh, I'm all for.
And we
taking
can't
out
figure
stoplights.
that our drivers are
I
gonna
know,
figure
right.
that out.
well, Mayor, but, I mean, I think we're, for the most part, in principle, we're all on the same page, but what we're trying to do here is address one situation. And
So,
try
okay.
to, and try to do it at a reasonable cost to the
Well,
tax.
it's not gonna be reasonable to do it right, unfortunately.
Well, no, I understand that, so we're trying to channel it down to address one major employer, that deals with safety, and we're trying to come up with a solution for that, and so it's not gonna be ideal. Ideal would be to do the whole thing like you're saying, but we're trying to funnel it and get it down to the least cost and satisfy the needs for the safety. That's what this is really all about. It's not like we're trying to just piecemeal it.
You know, we gotta do it right the first time, or we will regret it.
No.
That's the whole thing.
No,
That's
because
how I
I'm used to
feel.
Douglas Street actually now, but it was very confusing at first, and we didn't do that right either.
But
It's
I
so
still think it's gonna be
costly.
confusing for people coming here, is what I'm saying, you know what I mean? And then I worry about with the Warrior Davidson and Commerce and Hatch and the convention center, and I mean, we're trying to revitalize and bring more and more and more people to our community.
I worry about our parking ramps and using those and not messing those up too. You gotta look at that when you're doing a two-way.
Oh, yeah, you'll have to make those adjustments.
But I think this is just one item that we're, and maybe, Rhonda, you might be right. We might be making a mistake by just pulling it out, but we're trying to address one issue with a very tight budget.
Keep in mind, council, this is not in the first year. If I asked that if we did anything, it would be in the second year of the CIP, because we've got our taxes where we need, and this obviously would add quite a bit of cost to our budget.
So would the hospital jump in and throw some money in that?
Well, that would give us time to have those discussions, to do design, to decide how we're going to do this in an appropriate manner.
You know, because my whole thing is, we're making a decision on one.
Not for me, we're not.
Well-
I look at 4th Street and I like driving down a slow street. I do.
I'm with you, Bob.
And I like to have restaurants in downtown Sioux City, and we don't have them on 5th, and we don't have them on
Yeah.
6th to speak of, so.
Exactly. I'm way more about economic development and the vibrancy of a downtown rather than the speed of driving through it.
So the question would be, do we want to have them do 5th and 6th and work to getting it into next year's CIP? Or do you want to piecemeal it? What direction do you want to give staff?
I like the idea of piecemealing it a year out, Donna, like you outlined, and maybe even then move the other part 3rd or 4th year. At least it's back in the plan because we took it out, what was that, Mayor, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
We pushed it out. And that sends a strong message to Mercy that we want to do something. We're trying to make an improvement. We're trying to work with you.
Yep, we
But
can
it doesn't lump
modify
it all
that.
into the second.
So you'd like to see next year do
That's what I-
5th and 6th from Iowa to Jackson?
That's what I'd like, but I might be in the minority on that.
I'd be fine with that, but I'd want to talk to Mercy too, to see how much, how much they want to get involved.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to do something, like I said, I think we need to look at traffic counts and make sure that we're not, we're doing it the right way.
Your memo says this would resolve the concern by Mercy, but I really don't know the extent of their concerns.
My understanding.
I've never heard.
My understanding is their concern is of getting from the helipad to the emergency room, because right now they have to come down Jones, they have to go west, around the block, and come back up, where now they'd be able to just come down Jones, and it'd be 3/4 of a block to the east, and they'd be able to go.
2 minutes is a lot of time.
Yep, it's a lot.
And the other thing is that if you were having a heart attack at your house, they'd be able to come down Jackson and turn left rather
Go
than
up,
up
yeah.
and around the block, because they're redoing their entrance of their emergency room for that. For the ambulance and the helicopter type traffic will be different than you and I walking in.
We've probably informally talked about this, Pete, for a few years, but just this past year,
Dan and I met with them, and
they've stepped it up.
Oh, okay.
they're gonna redo their whole emergency room area.
Oh, okay.
I got some direction.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope you have some direction. I guess
No, I
my
think-
stance is I just really worry about us doing those 2 stretches just this partial way and then saying, well, we'll see how it goes and then we'll do the rest of it. I mean, I understand the 4.3 or whatever is a large figure, and I don't know how you would do that, but it's challenging.
You have enough to go on then, Dave?
Yep, well, but we'll be looking for next year, and I'll work with Donna about revising the CIP sheet.
Okay, discussion items. Number 6, tourism.
Currently in the budget, we have $100,000 to go towards a convention tourism bureau as a contribution. I know that the events facility tourism board has been having discussions. Alex has been sitting on it, and today was just asked to be brought back for continued discussion.
I don't have anything to add. I mean, we've continued to have conversations. I know that the hotel owners got together, or the managers got together in a meeting this last week. We have a subcommittee meeting coming up tomorrow, on Thursday, to talk about what they discussed. But I think they had really good conversations as far as what the budget would look like, what they're going to be able to manage, what they're open to and wanting, and then we just need to further develop a budget of what the city's contributions would be from every city and every stakeholder, and then we'll be making that presentation to council. So I think this money is necessary to show that Sioux City has a strong investment and a commitment to the region and the regional tourism effort.
So who will oversee the CVB? Is that a city
No, it will not be, no.
or no?
It will be a regional board similar to a Simcoe board or some other, Simcoe's a little different, but it'd be a board made up of representatives of all the cities, and they would oversee and manage the Regional Tourism Bureau.
Hire, fire, that kind of stuff?
Correct.
So there will be a director.
There'll be a director and
Well, and that will be the recommendation,
Yeah.
right? Is we'll come
Right.
forward and say, we think with this budget, you need 2 people, you need 3 people, and this is what it looks like as far as an annual.
and here's how it'd be paid for.
Yes, exactly. And here's the breakdown of the city's contribution, the hotel motel contribution, the private sponsorships, things like that.
Yep.
That'll all be come forward.
One thing I would ask is that they do what all of our departments did this year and the last year, did an excellent job. Don't have a budget you're trying to fill and say, oh, we've got this much to spend, so let's have these employees, as opposed to how can you really operate efficiently, just like our other departments are doing.
And I think the
That'd be
goal
my concern.
of the board, of the Events, Facilities, and Tourism Board, as it sets it up, is to design a very lean and economical tourism board to get started, because a lot of the funding will be from the private sector, and the need to show that they're going to get value will be very important.
It is, and also they are, the tourism board, they're fortunate because they do have the private interest, plus they have groups like Spectra and Kinseth and others that
To work with.
that need to be buying into that and be a substantial part of, have substantial input to what's decided on tourism. So that's a really good thing.
Next discussion item, City Council.
With the changeover in the city council happening with the next election, this is the time to address if we want to do a pay increase for the city council and the mayor. March 7th of 2016 was the last time we voted on an increase, and I'm again to bring it up. It's just my duty to always bring it up as the councils change out. So if you're interested, we can put something together.
You mean as elections are held?
Yes, as elections are.
Donna?
So yes, I think we should be interested.
Oh. I'm not at this time.
See, the thing is, that's what's happened in all these years back. Nobody, it's like a dirty word. Oh, my God, give them a few more bucks. Are you kidding me?
No, but in 2016, we made a significant adjustment.
That was a catch-up from
to
20
catch
years.
up. Well, I know.
If they would have been, if the councils would have been doing what they should have been doing, they should have gave themselves a minor raise, and there wouldn't be such a big issue now. And I really don't believe it should be an issue. Everybody else gets raises out here, and who runs the city? We make the big decisions up here with, obviously, the help of our directors. We need that. You can't be a good leader without being surrounding yourself with good people.
Yeah, I'm kind of, so I get it on the table, I'm kind of with Mr. Moore. I don't, we actually, although we voted in 16, we didn't start getting an increase until 18, so it's only been a year. And with the tight budget, it just seems like,
I think we
I
should
know it's a
look at
very
it.
small amount, probably overall, but it just doesn't seem like it's appropriate to me.
It's not about me, it's about the future of our city and about the future of the people that are gonna run. That's,
Your point is well taken that we don't want to play catch-up again, like we had to in
we can't be scared of this either. That's the thing. We should not be scared to ask for a little bit more. We're not asking for what the county supervisors get, for God's sake.
I'm
you know?
not frightened of asking for it, but I am more grateful for what we have already, so I'm not.
I'm grateful, but
I don't want to
I'm not
push the
happy.
issue when,
you know,
When I know $4.58 a month means a heck of a lot of money to people, senior discounts, for
That's a
a
whole
solid
different
waste.
issue.
I know it, but it's, dollars is dollars all the way across the board, even though there's only 5 of us, but.
When would this take effect, Donna?
It would be January 1st of '20.
What were you, are you proposing?
I would, if we were to look at it, I would propose $2,000 increase on the mayor and the council.
And what has been the history? I mean, I haven't been here around here long.
Never gotten any since I left.
That's correct. The March 7th action was the first time in.
So in 20 years,
In
it's
20
happened
years.
once.
That's why.
That's why you ask your political leaders to make these decisions, so you scare them into, if they ask for a raise, it's like, oh, well, they're just money hungry. Let's vote them out.
I'm pretty sure no one here at this desk did this to make money, but maybe.
No, I know. I'm saying what the public would spin it as is, oh, they're just money hungry. Let's vote them out. They don't understand sometimes the amount of work that goes into a position like this. A public.
I'm sure you're right about that.
It's not that we're money hungry, I can tell you that, but you know, you're very, that's.
I'll move a 2.5% raise. We'll vote on it. Can either go up or down. I don't want to, I'm not going to be here probably, so it doesn't matter, but I agree with Ron. We're afraid to vote for raises around here, and going 20 years without raising the salary just shows the lack of courage you have and the lack of respect, in my opinion, you have for the position and the people that will follow you. And I'm not taking you guys on. I understand where you're coming from, but let's be realistic. The pay is not why we do the job, but you know, we don't nobody around here turns in gas mileage every week like other governmental bodies do. I mean, I got to go at least 80 miles before I turn in a gas receipt. All the driving you do all week. I mean, if you don't take a raise in and let's get a mileage log like they have in other governmental bodies around here and start logging all of our miles, because I'm telling you, it'll be a lot, my mileage will be a lot more by far than what the $375 is going to be for me. And I won't take, I'll say, if you don't want to raise, you don't have to take it, it's voluntary. And I probably wouldn't, but that doesn't mean I don't want the standard to be there for somebody in the future. And I'll start turning in my mileage. And every time I drive to breakfast with the CEO of Seaboard, and every time I go here or there, I'm going to turn it in then, if that makes people feel better. But I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of money for me at 54.5 cents a mile. And I'm not complaining. I do the job willingly, and I enjoy the heck out of it. But unless, I know you guys don't, you know, so.
Well, and you know, the thing is, why don't we ask all our people out there not to take a raise for 20 years? What do you think's gonna happen? You know, they work their butts off out there, and so do we here. And that's the whole thing. I mean, you know, we make sure that our people are treated right.
And that's a 1.25% pay increase, so you all understand. Because it'd be over 2 years, just so we understand that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Gretkin?
No.
Moore?
No?
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
This will be a separate item on the agenda when we approve the budget, because it has to be set out separately. So there will be another.
Next discussion item, Parks and Recreation. Discussion on revenue projections for the pools, page 6.
Max Salvatore, Parks and Rec Director.
Mayor and council, we took a deeper dive into both revenues and expenditures for our swimming pools.
That was the good one. A
Deeper dive.
Good job.
No pun intended.
Come on, man.
But we after looking back at the numbers, we think that we can reduce employee compensation by $16,624 for FY '20.
reducing staff, you said, Matt?
No, we have actually voluntarily, prior to the 2019 season, we reduced just our overall rotation and staffing plan. So that decreased our expenses, even though in the last couple of years, we've seen some significant pay increases for lifeguards. But overall, it'll probably keep us trending a little bit lower than we had for what we had budgeted for FY19.
We do have this in as a technical change.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Next discussion item, WIC Comm Center. Discussion of adding full-time communications operator. Page 7.
Glenn Sedovy, the Executive Director of the Communication Center.
You've all received the memo. We met with the county last night. They kept the money within the budget, their side, till the public hearing. So the county's moving forward with whatever decision the city council decides. Wendy put together studied the schedule and the overtime that we've been spending, and we truly feel that we can reduce the
Okay,
overtime.
you've sold us, you've sold.
Okay.
I'll move that.
Okay,
Scott,
I'm good.
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Greckin.
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
You convince Ratty.
passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
That takes care of all the discussion items. We have items 10 through 16 on the
No,
agenda.
we were gonna talk to Peters Park about, would they take over some of the maintenance of that lot? Did we do that? I know I have it in my notes, I know I said it.
We have not yet, no.
Significant number. We used to have parking meters out there, maybe we ought to slap them back up there.
For what was the question?
Peters Park.
We have Peters Park.
Park is the only area where, well, it's not the only area, we subsidize the heck out of parking for the downtown.
Dave and I have not discussed it yet.
Not here that day?
I don't think he was here then.
And another thing, I just got a text, is it possible that we could put on our city website, we're in a snow emergency and what that means? Shouldn't we?
They usually do.
Well, I just got a text that they don't, it doesn't say it on the website.
I believe Ann put that up yesterday.
Okay, well, then she probably didn't know where to look, it's, maybe,
I know it was on
maybe, do we know how to do, I'm not being smart, but do we know how to do a banner ad across the bottom? Because when you, ever you have something like that,
I can work with
From
Ann.
the mobile, it's right across the top. A snow emergency is in effect.
well,
Vehicles
she
parked on
obviously
the-
didn't know what she was looking at then, because she just told me that what didn't show up, so. If she wanted to know if that included the downtown, I would think that we should know it's all streets, but,
This is where I think.
okay. Good. Good. Okay.
Items 10 through 16 are reports. Are there any reports that, or items on those, in that list that you would like to discuss?
What list or what numbers?
10
10
through
through
16.
15 on the utilities,
We're back through.
we're back crew.
Dave? We're back crew?
Oh.
There is a report on that.
So I thought, yeah, page 14, is it?
Yeah, 14, 15.
Mayor, Council, yeah, in the packet, there's a memo outlining how we've been operating the Portback crew, and it's new, so we're still having hiccups here and there, but it's going pretty well, and as you can see from the cost comparative, based on the work, we are cost competitive, I believe, with our local contractor that was doing it, but I agree, it'd be great to have a contract set up where we could, in times where the the water department has 10 water main breaks in a week to get the streets open faster. I mean, this time of year, it's tough to do pouring any day of the week, so, and that's all our concrete guys are doing patchbacks. We're not pulling out any concrete on our own. The only concrete we're replacing at this point is due to utility breaks. So we're able to keep up with that. But in the summertime, when they get a rash of breaks, it's tough for us to keep up with them and keep doing our normal maintenance.
So what would you need, because I read your memo that you support that as well, Dave, and then you
Yep.
made reference to the mayor also making I don't know if it was a recommendation, but talked favorably about it, and I'm in favor of that as well. So what would you need from
We would just,
council to put that into place to have
we just put the contract together. It'll come out of the Water Emergency Repair Fund is where the money will come. I mean, our guys are charging to that, their labor now. So it would just come out of that same fund. It would just give us that ability at times when we have a rash of breaks to be able to contract with one of our local guys to do the patch back. I mean, obviously, they're still gonna have to follow our standard operating procedure we put together as far as getting the hole back to pour back readiness, and that's on the utility guys to do that. And they'll have to follow that so that it's in the same condition that our guys get them in.
Okay, well, and I liked, if I read this right, and just help me out, talk to me like we're talking in your office, but if I read this right, I appreciate that you were very, because I was a little bit confused till I read your memo, actually, and you cleared it up for me about the 2 employees that are provided to help out.
Yep.
The 2 employees that usually work on the
Utility crews, yep.
utility, the water main breaks, that kind of thing. And one concern I have, I think we are doing a great job budget-wise overall, and I think the citizens and taxpayers are appreciative of what council and the mayor will do, but the thing I don't want to have happen is that we say we're getting by on this budget, it's very lean and mean, but yet we're burning out our employees. And I want to be very careful of that because I want them to do what they were hired to do.
Well, what's happening, Dan, is that it's not so much that we're burning out our employees. Our guys who normally are doing just patching the streets are now assisting in coming over. Like if we got a rash of water main breaks now, our crews that are normally just out patching streets are now over doing utility repair, patching those utility repairs when so we're not doing as many pothole repairs. That's what's happening. We're doing, we poured more concrete and did more yards this past year, but if you look at how many were strictly just street patches, no, we lost out because we were spending so much time doing utility repairs. But having a separate contract would allow us to offset some of that and get back onto repairing streets.
So you're using employees both ways then?
Yes.
From streets to utilities?
Yeah,
utilities
the
to
pour back crew
streets?
is made up of 2 guys from utilities,
So you're
2 guys
pulling
from
them
streets.
off, okay.
And then we have 2 other patch crews on our street division, and sometimes they're also coming in to assist with utility patches.
So the examples you put on the second page, that's just when the pourback.
No, this was
pourback
just,
crew-
these were just ones that, there was a concern at first that the number of hours we were spending was excessive. Well, we had to go back and look, because the problem was some of the SOP wasn't getting followed, so our guys were getting the patch in a condition where they had to do a lot of prep work. And we took all those ones out because we had to separate, and I sat down with Ed and we looked at what work was prep work and what work was actually patching. Because if you looked at the way that it was being delivered to the contractor, it was ready to pour back.
Yes.
So we had to take out all the work that our guys were doing to prep it for pouring, because that was all being done.
So this just includes.
These were 4 that our guys determined were as.
Ready to pour.
Yep, ready to pour. So if
So my question is, if that's the case, and I'm not sure the total costs, and I just add them, there's less than $2 difference from, I think, what is the contractors and what is
Yep.
the street division. Wouldn't that be a reasonable, I don't know, wouldn't it be better to keep the 4 doing what they normally do and just contract those with the contractor? And then we're getting double our
That's,
Or manpower for the same price? I mean, essentially, if we call in the contractor, then
Well, 'cause you're still-
the other four can go back and do what they normally do.
yep, and you're still gonna have those, but you're still gonna have those labor costs, because now they're gonna be doing something else. You're gonna get more work, yes. You're gonna get more work accomplished. But I mean,
Small price to pay for more work then, more
well,
potholes getting.
but this is just for, I mean, but you gotta remember, this could all happen in 1 week. I mean,
Yeah.
and
How
we did,
many-
and we did have a patch, the utilities department did have a patch contract, and it ballooned very quickly on how much it cost, and it went from being, I think it was bid out at like 100, just over 100-something thousand. And I'm just going off of memory, so if these numbers are, but it was more than double by the time they got done, because they just kept adding quantity, because they had the contractor doing all the work. Where I think the poor, in my opinion, and the employees, they don't like it, but I think the pour back crew is getting to the point where it's functioning better, and I think it's good that we accomplish as much work as we can in-house and have the ability to go to a contractor for overflow.
How did it balloon? The only way a contract that's a per yard pour back can balloon is they had a lot more breaks.
Well, it is, they just added quantity. It was,
Right.
it
So
wasn't.
you would have had the same thing.
Yep,
That's
yeah.
not even comparing apples and apples. That, you would have had the exact same thing. It's just they had a lot of breaks.
Yeah, it would have been either whether it's our cost of our employees and our equipment versus their cost and their employees. I mean, we can go, I mean, I'm all, I mean, if you guys want to do a contract, I'm perfectly all right with that. It's either way. I mean, we can go, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Well, these four examples you had in your memo, are they, how many do you have on an annual basis?
We can,
I know you can't predict.
yeah, but I mean, we're probably doing anywhere from 2 to 10 in a week. And I can go back and get the numbers of what we poured back for utilities last year. It was more than 50% of all the work our pour back crews did.
Did it?
Yep.
Since February 1st, we've had 17 water main breaks. We've had I worked 3 Saturday and worked 2 Monday. So.
Well, I mean, this is kind of a high period for you guys.
Right now, we're at 17.
February 1?
Since February 1.
Yeah,
So
but
we
this
got-
is water break season.
These are
remember
water
that.
breaks. Yeah, it's only water break season, but that's how many holes we have open right now.
But a year ago, how many water main breaks did we have? We had 150 or something?
I can get that number for you. I don't have it.
Yeah, but
It's like
you're saying
180.
50% of them were handled by the pour-back crews?
No, we were doing all the pourback.
Oh, you were doing
Or
all-
not all of them. If they're small, if they're under 100 square yards, the guys who do the utility repair actually do them. But I mean, otherwise, we're doing them.
I think it was like 183 last year for water main breaks.
How far down does the water mains go?
About 5 feet.
It varies. We've had them 13 feet. The ones breaking right now are 5 feet.
So what happens when the ground's froze? You have these water mains, how can you fix them?
You gotta dig them up.
You
Dig them out. It's nasty work. It's.
I spent
And
16
then-
hours Saturday.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with this at all, so my girl question here is, so you get down there, you fix it, and then it's still gonna break, or not? I mean,
No, it could-
if it's frozen, and then,
No,
Not frozen that deep.
Half the yard was dry.
They were not below the frost line. It's dirt when they get down where
yeah,
the
it's
water
all
line.
dirt. I mean, we had a couple that broke. It was only 3 feet deep, and
The frost is what, 36, 42 inches around?
we ran into 4.5 feet.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
so then you have, okay, so water main breaks, and you have all these houses that are getting full of water because the water mains break, and here, I mean, it's a mess.
Yeah, we had two houses get flooded from water main breaks Saturday. So.
But I do agree with you. This is contrary to what I was taught in law school. Never ask a question that you don't know the answer. But I just want to make sure I'm clear on this with the 4 employees that you're using. And we're looking at using an outside contractor. Another option would be to hire 4 new employees, wouldn't it? I mean, that's another,
Well, but there's also equipment that would be needed. I mean, there'd be supplemental equipment that would be needed.
don't we, yeah, but we have that, don't we?
Well, but if we hired 4 more guys, there's gonna be more equipment they're gonna use, because they spread out, So it would be.
I'm not suggesting that, Donna, don't get it. I just want to make sure I need the big picture.
Dan, we did put that in for an improvement request, but I mean, it's just, right now, we're trying to get by with what we've got, and we're doing the best we can, and I think, I think we're doing an adequate job. Could we always do better if we had more, if we had outside help? Yeah, we could do better.
So what happened, maybe you don't know this, but right across from my house on Nebraska Street, I thought they did a great job making the repair, and then it seemed like they came back and put a curb in first.
Mm-hmm.
Came back and did the street part.
Yeah, 'cause
Was that all done by the
that would be all the
city
patch
crew?
Yep.
That was done very quickly. I mean, I think a comment was made last time we met that people get tired of waiting and waiting and
Might
waiting.
have been because it was by your house.
No, usually it's just the opposite, Mayor.
No.
We only do that on
We don't
44th
have
Street,
those
no.
priorities. Those priorities are way, that was yesteryear. That was back in the 80s, I think.
Look at the snow removal priority. Can we get that map out? Is he on a zone 1 now?
I'm sure he is.
Yeah. Get off the council, you're going back to 3.
But no, the whole pour-back crew came out of the concern that the patches were taking too long to get done, and I think we have done a very good job at expediting that. I mean, sometimes weather holds us up, but.
Okay, so while the pour-back crew was doing that street, they could have been making repairs elsewhere.
Well, not this time of year, but in the summertime, yep. When we get into, in our normal patch time, the problem is our 2 guys would probably just get absorbed into the other 2 crews is what would happen, so they can move fast. I mean, what we did is pare down the crews and take 2 guys off, and just like utilities did, they kind of pared down their crews and gave us 2 guys. Those guys would get absorbed back into the crews they were working in, which would allow us to do more patches per day, but it's just.
But the repairs are the priority.
Mm-hmm.
Patching's secondary.
Yeah, because once we open the street up, it's a priority, but if the street's not open yet, yeah, anything that's open is our priority.
Clarification. So we don't need to take any action on contract?
Of money.
Let me look at these other items real quick. What were we doing on, just remind me on 14, the report regarding fuel sales.
That was,
What were we-
the revenues in their budget looked, didn't match up to what it was trending, and so they provided a memo on that.
You know, I know I'm never going to win this argument, so I'm not even going to try, but when you say what the fuel sales are going to be, that's retail fuel, and you buy without tax, right?
That's correct, and then we have a revenue code for the
Yeah, then-
refund.
Yeah, but we budget for fuel at retail price.
In the CMG budget, yes.
Well, so then there's an automatic savings because of the tax? And
No, we don't include gas tax in our budgeted amount.
Not to the departments.
We are able to estimate a price of $2.79 a gallon for fiscal year 2020. That is retail price.
And this is a case of, this is the budget for CMG that they set, but when we do the departments, this year it was based on the first 6 months of what we've
actual expense.
Right.
Yes.
But that is in your, I'm not going to argue about it. It's in your CMG budget. That's how it shows up at retail price.
In CMG.
Yes.
No, we don't budget gas tax in CMG. We might have it budgeted too high, but we do not budget the gas.
No, I know you don't. I know. We're talking the same thing.
Yeah.
You budget at retail. Okay? You budget at what the retail, what they project will be the gas pump all across America, which California is always 50 cents higher than Iowa, and they use a lot more gallons, so the average is $2.79 is what you're using, is what I'm saying. And it's not that high. It's not gonna, it never has been since I got here in 1986, but we've always budgeted it. So we have a little cushion there.
in CMG, but in the departments, I have taken it down. It's more like $1.80.
I understand that. But if you budget that,
There's always going to be.
You still took last year's total, 256,000 gallons times 279, right?
That- I
That's how you got to the 716,000.
I don't do their budget. That's what the
What they did.
division wanted to put in as his budget.
right.
Oh, so you knocked that down to the 180 you're talking about, or?
Within all the departments' budgets, I did. I did not reduce it down in his. But I can reduce it down.
No, I'm just saying there's a cushion there. That's all I'm trying to establish, is there's a really good cushion there.
Then Donna, can you, I apologize, I picked up on this, but I guess it's item 12, report
Okay.
current tax rebates.
There's a couple
A
things.
listing there.
Yeah, how come we're even paying taxes on the Martin building?
That is because we receive income from it. The shop, the jewelry shop that is there produces income, so therefore it is taxed.
But we're not paying on the basement in that.
We are not paying on the nonprofit housing above and the basement. It is just on the retail section.
And what do we get for rent?
I want to say 1,200 or 1,500. It's between 12 and 1,500.
12 and 1,500 a month.
Well, why wouldn't we just give it to them rent-free so we wouldn't have to pay the taxes?
Well, in a TIF district, you can't. You have, in a TIF district, we can't give it to them for free. We have to charge market rate.
Well, 1,200 wouldn't be the market rate, would it?
I can't answer that.
That's our only revenue?
Yeah.
Martin?
So you pay the county and the school district, so they can pay their lawyers, but
Mayor's always thinking, I mean, I like that.
I guess I won't say anything. Go ahead with your question now, Mr. Moore.
That's why you don't want to
We're taking
raise.
a break.
The actual rent is
What's-
1,600. It's 1,599.22.
1,600,
1,600.
19,000 a year?
Is it a month that they pay?
Yes. $19,191 is what,
And it costs us 28 grand.
yes.
Well,
Yeah, so we brought in.
Sounds like some of the deals I've gotten into.
well, I would like to look at that, I mean, just to see what is being,
And we can work with the assessor and make sure that, see if we can get that to reduce.
so anyway, what are you telling us in this memo?
Basically, it was detailing the expenses that were there.
We wanted to know who.
It was a large amount, and I think the biggest increase is the money we have set aside for a Siouxland Initiative adjustment, in case we have some development down in the airport area.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
If that does not happen, it will not be spent.
What's Bueller? Is that, I don't know what that is. What's Bueller, Marty? Yep, okay. What's SW Properties?
Which one?
SW Properties,
That's Dr. Wazinski's clinic that was built in Sunnybrook.
okay, yep.
Or
No, actually, Wazinski, Brunings would,
It's
some of them are not online yet because there's
Down
always a
around the
delay.
You'll see Bruning next
by
year.
Unity Point Health.
oh, yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Back on the Mark building, that would include the main floor plus the basement, because the basement's
No, the basement shouldn't be taxed.
what's used by,
The portion that's
the tenant.
used for the tenant's storage would be taxed, but ours would not be.
Who uses storage center besides stores?
The city and the Martin Tower. Next items we have, if you have no more discussions on reports, are technical items. Most of these came about as we were discussing budgets. First, going through operating, we talked about the comp claims and had direction to reduce the total claim expenditures expected by $350,000. This is not a dollar-for-dollar reduction in property taxes because there's a lot of other funds that go in there. The next item is, there was a discussion about landing fees being increased, and we raised those $12,000. The $18,000, as I discussed earlier today, coming from the $20,000 we had scheduled for artwork, going down to $2,000. Inspection rental permits, you recently had passed the increased fees. Those had not been put into the budget. So when you approve those fees, we want to adjust the budget to follow that dollar amount. The human resource funding, we reallocated health insurance to get their property taxes back down into the same amount as previous years. Because we only have proposals out for contracts for some of the union groups for 1 year, we did need to add back in money for attorneys for negotiations next year. So that would be a $10,000 add. Then Matt Salvatore talked earlier about reducing the lifeguard FTE. And then we also went and looked at the inventory costs in CMGS, which are technical changes.
Are we doing anything with the Tyson budget? With the, I thought we talked about the.
So did I, but we said that should be the worst, and yet we're still budgeting the same, aren't we? In the
Oh,
Tyson.
budgeting for what we think our savings would be. Don't we want to build that in as well? That 200, wasn't it 250,000? Our savings for the overruns or the deficit.
For the first year?
But we're now in our second
We're
year.
in our second year. I would,
But you budgeted basically the same loss.
correct, but I think my loss from this year, I don't have enough based on their first 6 months' worth of history. I know for,
Well, no, they could still hit that target, couldn't they?
Well, I think it'd be prudent to budget what they have presented, and if they hit that target, then we come in under budget, rather than.
I
add on
don't. I
something.
think they've made a promise, and I think we should hold them accountable for
No,
it.
that's what you're saying. That's that 250,000 savings, I thought.
No, we're not budgeting it, though.
I thought that's what you just said, Bob, to budget what the target was.
No, I would recommend budgeting what's in the budget, and if they hit that target, that's just a savings to our bottom line, rather than having to come back in and amend the budget to add money later.
Well, we're not giving up anything under our contract by doing it that way, are we?
Their budget, their incentive, and their goal is based on a 3-year average for, was it 15, 16, and 17?
I'm just cautious to not have money set aside, because it takes like 2 shows where they lose $200,000. And we've had that happen where I then don't have the money, because I have to keep giving them cash to keep the checking account, to have enough balance in it. So I've written, over $1 million worth of checks already to Spectra to make sure that they have operating funds.
So at the end of the year, we'll have what our savings.
Yes,
Isn't that right?
yes.
Right
That
now.
would be a payment in next year's budget.
Correct me
Any
if I'm-
incentive payment.
Any incentive payment would be in the next budget.
Yeah, but if they have a really bad year, they don't go back and help us with that. This $1 million, we're just out.
Okay, so.
Keep in mind, though, everybody keeps thinking that Spectra has something to
But
gain.
their losses is great or greater than what we had before.
We've had a rough year and a half, yes.
Okay, well,
So we're paying them to lose money, is that the deal?
But we were also paying
absolutely,
ourselves to
but
lose money.
not what we're paying now.
But they have a
I
contract.
would say it's very comparable.
Okay, so what do we gain?
Well, and what they talked about was projecting and booking acts in the future. Like, that's one thing that I've really taken from is, look, you do have to book these acts years in advance, right? So what we're reaping over
Alex,
the
they
last year was
they
before
didn't say
that.
any of that when they came in here. They said, we'll get this thing going right away. We're a year and a half down, and we're still.
But then-
And
but
I
then
don't
the
want
last
to trash
time they-
Spectra. I realize they're in a tough position, but they're the ones that made the promises. I didn't. And we're no better off today. In fact, I'll argue we're worse off today. When we get done with this year, we'll be worse off than what we would have been the year before.
Let me give you this counter argument, Mayor, and see what you think, though. I mean, you have to build, you have to rebuild, no matter what we did as a city, whether we stayed with the city, went with another private contractor, you have to start rebuilding somewhere. And I might lose the argument with you, well, that shouldn't take 2 or 3 years to rebuild, but
Not if they're professionals like they told me they were.
yeah, but I think in this instance, I think it shows, at least it shows me how serious the situation was with our operations, and we needed to do something, and I think we still did the right thing. I just think we'll see it develop more and more as we go. If not, that's why we made it, what was it, a 5-year contract?
So you're gonna lose $1 million plus for 5 years and say, geez, that was a bad experience? I'm not willing to do that.
No, I don't want to wait for that either.
I tell you what, if they can't come through by next year, we ought to look and see what the outs are on the contract.
Well, we have those built in. We've got the performance standards built
But
in.
my point is, Dan, what if they hit a home run?
6 months.
Let's just say they do. I hope they do. That million that we've lost, we get none of that back now. That's all on us. They have nothing, they put the people down there, they've got no incentive.
Plus what we paid them.
That's my point. So, but,
Well, but that's,
lost the
that's
argument.
the
Reduce the
deal.
subsidy.
guys.
Yeah.
The hope is that you reduce
Subsidy
that
is what I was
subsidy.
trying to,
Yeah.
not deficit, but the subsidy that was, because that was over $1 million.
Because if they keep
It
hitting
was,
those home runs,
for the
or if they
previous
keep
10 years, it was
producing
like
more content,
1.7.
then you reduce that subsidy.
It was never, well, we had, the average was not $1.7 million. And the thing that kind of grates me is I had a call from somebody in Omaha last night, and they took over the Ralston last night saying, and one of the arguments they had was, they have such a great relationship with Sioux City, so maybe they do and I'm missing it. That they're performing so well here that the city's just happy as can be with them. And I know a lot of you are, but I don't think the average person that's paying their tax bill is very happy with not having concerts. I hear it every stinking day in my office. Every day, that's one of the things I hear. Why do I have to go to Sioux Falls? Did you watch Facebook and see all of our people that go up there? It's disgusting to me. It's absolutely disheartening.
Bob, you're
And I
so
don't want to
correct.
keep taking them on and bad-mouthing them, but
I just think it's difficult to book these acts, and then when you book them 2 years in advance, right now we're reaping.
I guarantee you Sioux Falls
what was
didn't book the
booked 2
concert
years
they had
ago.
last week 2 years out. I guarantee it. I'll get the contract if you want to believe that. Guarantee it. They had some country deal that everybody went up there last week, and I saw it on Facebook. I guarantee you they didn't book that 2 years ago.
So do you think Denny wrote a check?
Huh?
Do you think Denny wrote a check? 'Cause
No,
He's done that before to bring acts.
Why don't we find out?
I believe that particular concert we bid on, we were outbid because they can sell 4,000 more seats in Sioux Falls than we have here. And that's why we lose some of those events.
But it wasn't 2 years ago they booked it, I can tell you that.
Vector knew that we were a smaller event, smaller seating. They had the promoters that do a circuit, and that's what we were told, and that they could get people here. That simple.
Well, they have the new GM. You were excited to meet him and thought
Yes,
that it would
I
turn
like
things
him.
around.
I'm hoping for the best.
So
I
then
think-
we'll see.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
agree, I understand. We won't
Well,
get
I
that
hope we're
one
not
back.
sitting here 1 year from today and we're $1 million down again.
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I do.
We are, shame on all of us sitting here.
There's a lot of factors that enter into it, and I think we need to keep that in mind as well. So do you need a motion, Mayor?
I do need a motion to incorporate the technical changes, and then I need a motion to balance the budget. So I need 2 motions.
But this is not the actual motion on accepting the budget.
This is not accepting, this is just telling us to put it together, that you're happy with where the tax levies are right now. And that's what I would put in the agenda to approve the budget is that where your tax levies are.
Direct staff to incorporate all the technical.
Second.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Greckin?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
I'll make a motion, direct staff to balance the CIP budget and operating budget for FY 2020.
Second.
Capron?
Aye.
Gretkin?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
We will come back on the 4th of March. That will be, there'll be a few items on the agenda. They'll be approving the capital improvement program, there'll be approved budget, we'll have a bond items, and we'll start the fifth amendment process to incorporate all the changes that we have in these two budgets.
When is that?
March 4th,
The regular council meeting?
the regular council.
Oh, okay.
It's my first anniversary, Rhonda.
Oh, my God.
Dun,
If I'd have known that, I would have got you a cake.
Yeah.
You still got time, boss, March 4th.
March 4th.
I move we adjourn.
Isn't March 4th the
We
anniversary
have
or today?
a motion to adjourn. I need a second.
Second.
Moore?
More.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Greckin?
Aye.
So, Mark,